Good afternoon. I am here to talk about the Maternal Mortality Campaign. I first realised that I was going to get as involved as I became. A few years ago, at the end of 2007, I went on a trip to Uganda. I was actually there as part of the delegation for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, and I went on a visit that I'd arranged to go to a big maternity hospital. And as I was going around what was obviously a overstretched, hard-working teams of doctors, nurses and midwives with poor resources, seeing them as stretched as they were, we went past a small room with a window, and there were 8 little cots there with little babies there, all who'd been born that day, but of course all there on their own because their mothers had died in childbirth, just on that one day in that one hospital. So for me, I felt moved to get involved more actively by those little ones there, recognizing that their chances of survival or of future opportunity in their lives was so meager for them. But I was speaking later to a woman called Aparajita Gogoi, who runs the White Ribbon Alliance in India, and she talked to me from a different perspective. She said it was not uncommon in India for mothers to go round when they were coming up near to their time for labour, to go round and say goodbye to their family, because they knew that there was a very high possibility that they might not see their family again. Also, the story she told me of a wife who in labour encountering huge difficulties. It was not uncommon too in some states for the husband to take the decision to not take his wife to hospital so that she could receive the care and have a safe delivery. Instead, it was literally cheaper for him to lose his wife and in time to get a new one. That brought home to me the fact that this isn't just an issue around children's health and their futures, it's also an issue around women and their rights and how much we value them. Now in India, of course, in the last few years, some things have changed. New laws have come in, which mean that there have to be a certain percentage of women on the councils taking part in local government decisions, who participate fully in big village meetings where people are bringing much more to the surface what's happening, rooting out things that aren't working, identifying areas where there's local corruption and calling people to task on that. There's also changes where now a mother in some states will actually be paid for turning up at the health centre when she's there in order to give birth to her baby with a skilled health worker in attendance. That, of course, makes the greatest difference to that decision that family might have made in other circumstances. But as we look at it, we've been in a position where huge amounts of progress has been made with the Maternal Mortality Campaign in recent years. It's risen up political agendas, it's been taken forward with great vigour by many international leaders, pledging funds for it, taking away the charges for delivery in health centres, and national governments putting it as a higher priority on their list where they know that they have issues with mothers' survival. But our great 21st century truth is that we have millions of women who are lost in slavery, who are treated as sex objects, who are raped with no redress. We have a huge amount to tackle with how we are addressing women's rights in this century. And at the heart of that is how we treat our mothers, is how we treat those mothers who may lose their lives unnecessarily because simple interventions, health interventions, are not made available to them. Given that we are equipped to know exactly what to do to address this, that we know we need skilled health workers, that we know we need the equipment and supplies available, that we know we need the cultural shifts that we need, all of this, therefore, is within our grasp. And as we're all signed up to the Millennium Development Goals, and many countries have said that by 2015 we will hit very specific poverty reduction targets and have a target to reduce by 3/4 the number of mothers who die in pregnancy and childbirth. This has to be a gap that we need to narrow, no matter the progress that we've made just in recent years. Where we're at now is looking at what the reasons that are standing in our way. The issues around women's emancipation, the issues around women's empowerment must be at the heart of this. The grassroots movements, it's coming down to those networks of women all around the world, networks of men and women all around the world. The White Ribbon Alliance membership stretches from governments, stretches from business, stretches through individual groups of midwives, concerned and active individuals in about 154 countries. Their energy, their inspiration, their marches, their music events that they organise, people are doing all kinds of things. We've had cake bake sales, we've had big movements. In India, they had a march of thousands of women onto the Taj Mahal, which is, of course, a monument created by a wealthy husband to his much-loved wife who died in childbirth. In Tanzania, they organised so that they were concerned that you would see on the ground that the politicians were saying that money was coming through. The ministers were allocating it in their budgets, but people weren't seeing it on the ground. So they handed out cameras to the activists who went round and filmed the health centres, who went round and said, right, you say there's a couple of midwives here and you say there's supposed to be some equipment here. Well, we filmed this health centre and there's a janitor and not much more. Taking those bits of film back, showing them to the local officials, showing them to the ministers, managed to get it all the way up to the health officials at the top, made a huge difference. It also made its way onto Tanzanian television. In due course, of course, when it came round to the presidential elections for President Kikwete, you can see him standing on his platform for his election addresses wearing the White Ribbon Alliance's cap and at the forefront of the maternal health campaign, because I think he understands through his country what that means to address it, but also what it means to what people, the feedback that he will get, and that it's actually right at the core of how he sees himself being re-elected as president. Just recently, a letter was sent to him, organised by about 16 million health workers, the nurses, the midwives, the paediatricians, the obstetricians and gynecologists from the world, from their international councils, were able to put together a letter with a petition for 16 million signatures calling on those next round of changes, calling for that improvement in the empowerment of women, and calling also for the health workers that are needed. There's very straightforward numbers, 3.5 million health workers and 2 million teachers, because of course what's going on in education is so critical to the future of those girls and boys as they come through. And the age where they marry, the age where they have children, the likelihood of their own children being able to go on into education and succeed. 2 million teachers, 3.5 million health workers, and countless entrepreneurs that should be supported too, with many enterprises across sub-Saharan Africa, across Southeast Asia, those areas we need to place most effort in to address the issues of the greatest poverty. This is where women's empowerment can come together. There must be many, many women there too who would engage in training as a nurse, as a midwife, becoming involved. Our efforts now must be to create a very serious plan that says, let's create those training schools. Let's work out how people can train in the community, how they can access the internet for more information, how they sort out the distribution lines for equipment and supplies, for transport. That plan is needed. The sticking point sometimes says, where's the governance in the system? We can all put the money in the top, but are we really sure it gets there? This is often heard from the critics. Well, this is where our grassroots networks come into play as well. They are the governance in the system. If you think of those midwives with their cameras filming health centres in Tanzania, there are many ways that can be replicated around the world. If you think of the local councillors in India as they hold their meetings and come together and discuss what's going on in their area, sometimes with 2,000 people present, these are the ways forward. The grassroots network is where we will get the activism, where we will get the push for the cultural change that we need, and also where we can keep the governance in the system that will help all those politicians at the top know that what's coming down can actually be put into action. All women should have access to high-quality professional care without the barrier of cost. The activists, the grassroots members will all keep working until it happens. I hope we can find a way to all play our part so that we can change those results, have fewer mothers and children dying by 2015. Thank you.